Okay,
Okay, have fun.
fine. And your boy dog was looking pathetic a few minutes ago. He might want OUT soon.
Okay, I'll take him out of you.
Your call. I don't care.
Okay.
Not my problem. Not my problem for the next 2 hours.
True.
Hi, everybody. Everybody, every one buddy. It says there's one person here. Okay, what am I doing? What did I do? I am here. Today's topic is giants. Let me see. What am I doing? That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. Do do do. Do do do. Oh, we'll go right here. We're not in a rush. Monday, this is probably a bad day for doing this one. Hi, Stevie. Good afternoon, good evening, good whatever's going on. Good grief. Today we are here talking about giants. I got my tablet this time. I'm going to see. It says Face ID, and then it immediately says, okay, now that I recognize you, put in your password anyway, because screw you. Come on. Come on. I bet you I'm going to screw it up. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. Of course I'm screwing. View channel. There we go. Turn my sound off. Hi, Michelle. How are you today? I have my tablet today because I get going back and forth. I know we're not like super insanely chatty all the time, but sometimes I get looking at something on a separate. I can't look at a second screen and still see the chat because of the way I've got all this shit set up. So I can't look at a second screen. Look at me screwing this up. The way I've got all this shit set up. So there we go. We do that. I was supposed to be turning the sound off. Did I just turn it up to max? I don't know what the fuck I did. Anyway, I'm going to access. There it is. There is like a 4,000 step process. Wait, did I do it wrong? I did it wrong. We went through it. There, I've got the live chat up on a second device that doesn't like me. Now I have to find somewhere to put it. There we go. That can just live there. That way I can go, hey, something's happening. Oh, you got your popcorn and you're ready for this. Okay. I got my blanket. I got my blanket. I'm all tucked up under a blanket today. We have had the weirdest weather. It's not bad weather, but it's like, oh, it's really hot in here. Okay, open a window. Okay, it's really cold in here now. Okay, turn everything. We've been turning the heat off. It's that in between where you turn the heat off, then on, off, then on, up, down, all day. No, the knee still hates me. I am weather affected. So when the weather is changing around rapidly and being a pain in the ass, my knee is just like, fuck you. It's getting there. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. I've just got to I took some Advil. It's okay. It's okay. It's going to be okay. Life is going to be okay. It's still pissing me off, but I'm back to work. I am back to work. I try not to push it too much. What am I going to do with this? I've got a blanket on my lap. So one of the things that really bugs my knee is if I get chilly. So it's like, okay, well, we can't let it get chilly. So I got a blanket. Let's see. Is that going to sit over there? I don't need. Yeah, my knees always know when the weather is changing. And this is what we've got going on right here. Like it was really hot a couple of days ago, and now it's like this rainy, chilly thing happening. So it goes back and forth. And when it's happening when the weather is changing rapidly for me, that's when it really, my knee can act up just because that's just the way it is. But when the weather's changing around too rapidly and stuff, that's when it can really be a pain in the ass. I wonder if I can. No, I can't do that. Can't do that. It was what I was hoping I could like make it bigger. Anyway, it's off in the corner now, and hopefully will be helpful. But yeah, so once we get some, I can still walk. When Lisa and I got together 20 years ago, I was walking with a cane like full time because I was living out in Ontario. And once winter comes, everything's cold, everything's covered in ice. So you can't get out there and you can do your regular stuff, but it's different, right? So then everything's all covered in snow and ice. So just a regular walk, nothing's even and level. It's like you're so you're straining your leg between not being able to move around normally, and then when I am out and about, nothing's stable. Does it? Oh yeah. We're not that far apart, so Hi, Robin. We're not that far apart, so we have like Seattle weather up here. It's not a big deal. If and when this is going to hit me, it's usually going to hit me around now, and then once we finish off that last little bit of we have like almost a rainy season here. Once we finish off the last little bit of the rainy season, then the weather will stop bugging me, and I'll start stabilizing, and then I'll be fine. I'll be great. It'll be fine. It'll be whatever. Considering that, like I said, when we got together, I was walking with a cane full time for stability, just because of not being able to. Tons and tons. Weather changes daily out in Ontario, and then for 4 to 5 months of the year, you can't really do anything to stay active. So I'm still doing way better than I was back then. Just this week, I'm pissy about it. This week, I don't feel it. This week is like, but no, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be what it's going to be. It's whatever. But anyway, give me an opportunity to get a bunch of other stuff done. I made 3 tote bags. So I got that done. I was going to make some more tote bags, but I also need to make some stuff for the shops. We did that. But today we are talking about giants. Today we're talking about giants. Do they exist? Did they exist? Did they exist? Do they still exist? What's the conspiracy theory around it? There's some huge conspiracy theories around giants. And other than that, it's just general fuckery. Let me see. That's interesting. Andre the Giant. Okay, then. I'm just loading up some stuff so we have things to look at. This is a ooh, this is a cool one that I haven't seen before. Okay, the photo that you see on the I wonder what height you have to be be considered a giant. What's that? Oh, that's on Facebook. I'm not going to be able to get a good look at that one then. Or will I? We will figure it out. Like all things, to be considered suffering from giantism, I think you have to be over 6'7". I never looked anything up. I looked up one thing. 3 standards. Okay? In general, healthcare providers suspect gigantism when a child's height is 3 standard deviations above the normal average height for their sex and age, or 2 standard deviations above the adjusted average based on the height of their biological parents. That is, let's see if we. Yeah. 2.3 if you are 8 feet tall or taller. When left untreated or uncontrolled, some individuals suffering from gigantism have grown in excess of 8 feet. Oh, there's his name. looking for him. So Robert Wadlow, he was 8'11". He was 1 inch shy of being 9 feet. Oh, come on. Am I going to get something good here? Is this a good one? Of course it's not a good one. I'm not finding good pictures, of course. I really have to get over myself and start actually looking stuff up in advance. Okay, so Robert Wadlow is the Guinness Book of World Records tallest man. He was 8'11" tall. And there's been other men. This is him here. Let's see. Oh, this is from the Guinness World Records page. Yeah, more people are exceeding. I have an interesting. That's what I say. Okay. To be considered a dwarf, you have to be 4'10" or smaller. At least that's what it used to be. Oh, 4'9". Okay. Yeah, my one cousin was considered officially a midget because she was like 4'11". 4'11" or smaller is a midget, and I guess 4'9" or smaller is a dwarf. But yeah. So if you're I just had the number. So 2.43 meters. 2.43 meters to feet. Let me just double check that. 7'9". Anything over 7'9" and you're considered to be a giant. See, the thing is, we have giants. We already have giants. We have giants right now. But now, of course, can people reach those heights? Can a person go in excess of 7'9" and still be healthy? Or that's Lisa moving around over there. And the answer is yes, depending on the conditions, right? But as a race, as a species, as a whatever, no. This is something I was looking for earlier. Oh, you're taking them out. Lisa's taking the dogs out.
Yeah, if I can find your girl.
Okay. I'm looking for a thing. Man, I am so unprepared.
Didn't you say you were going to grab your tablet so you could look stuff up?
I do. So I could actually keep an eye on the chat if I need to. No, that's not. Okay. This is the problem. Here we go. This is a photo showing a height comparison. This is old. This isn't. It's more of a drawing than a photo, but it's showing a height comparison between the Pygmies of Africa. Hi, Moira. Between the Pygmies of Africa and the Maasai tribe. Come on, share that screen. Which one do I want? It's not a very good picture, but we'll share it anyway. We will share it anyway. So this is like the people in the front are Pygmies, and the Pygmies are on average. Pygmies on average are very, very short. They're a very short people. Come on. This is kind of. Let me see. That's a different one. So the term pygmyism is used to describe the phenotype of endemic short stature, blah, blah, blah. So the pygmy tribe, the reason why they're called the pygmy tribe is because on average, the men very rarely reach 5 feet in height, and the women are even shorter. right? But then when you get to the Maasai tribe, their average height is 6'2". So you've got like this much of a difference between the tallest between men. That's so we've already got that we've already got that as a proven thing. Let me just see, where am I? Yeah. I've noticed lots of here in New York City. I've noticed lots of student basketball players, alien DNA. What the fuck? Bigger people are on the rise. Here's the thing. Yeah, I've toured historic naval ships. On average, when average height. Average height of a European man in 1880 was 65. They got to stop doing that to me. I always have to convert it. 65 inches. That's 5'5". So heights decreased from an average of 68 inches in the early Middle Ages to an average of roughly 65 inches during the 17th and 18th centuries. So, like in the Middle Ages, we were on average 3 inches taller than we were in the 1800s, and we're gaining it back. Here's the thing: we talked about like mammoths and stuff like that, right? I think there's more involved than just height or dwarfism. No, there's absolutely more involved. Like I said, the people in the front are pygmies. The people this is a drawing, but I couldn't find it. I couldn't do a quick find and get a proper photo. The thing is that we already know this. This is research that came out of China. This is research that came out of China, and I think the research came out of China that around the same time that Chinese were immigrating. Yeah, I'm 6'1" and used to be tall. In the last 20 years, I noticed I'm being dwarfed by the average 20-something here in New York City. But this is the thing. Okay, they did studies, right? And they do studies around the time when the Chinese workers were coming over to build the railroad. The average height of Chinese, they weren't very tall. They were considered short when compared to a North American, right? And now this is also a regional thing. In some areas of the world, in some Asian populations, they just like pygmies and Maasai. In some areas of Asia, people tend to be shorter, in some areas taller. So they're bringing over. So Chinese immigrants are coming over to work the railroads, and they're staying. And what was going on in China at the time? One of the reasons why we had this big influx of Chinese immigrants willing to risk their lives in the railroad was because they were risking starvation at home, poor nutrition, endemic malnutrition, lack of food. They weren't getting tall because they just weren't getting fed. They came over here, they find a better life, and then suddenly the Chinese population is getting taller and taller and taller and taller. And again, because when you look at Africa and you go into the areas where pygmy tribes live, you're going, oh, this is their natural height. When you go, and then you go into the areas where the Maasai and those tribes live, you're going, okay, this is their natural height. But then when what they realized was that Chinese people that were immigrating from some areas, but not others, and not all, which is how this shit gets so confusing. Some of the Chinese people that were coming from specific areas, yeah, people in Taiwan are a little taller. People in Japan tend to be a little shorter. Indonesian people tend to be shorter, right? Now, when they had the first influx of Chinese labor coming over to work the railroads and do all that stuff, nobody was asking, who are these people? What is their genetic makeup? We weren't doing those studies, right? And then, yeah, homunculus. And then, yeah, interesting about nutrition. The shortest population here in New York City these days seems to be Mexican. And this is the thing. So it's like, so now you have to ask yourself, is this particular group of people shorter? Because the problem, we're talking about giants, right? So obviously we're talking about giants. So what we're talking about is everybody else obviously is short. We're short, right? So what they started to realize somewhere along the line, they realized that certain groups of Chinese that were coming over, their kids were fucking huge. Their kids were like averaging 6 feet tall, absolutely huge kids. And it's like, how is this tall person coming from two short people who came from a village of short people. And so there's been some studies. I'm not going to pretend to know shit beyond about the studies themselves because I'm not a scientist. What they realized was that some populations, yeah, Mexicans are just short, especially compared to Texans, but there are some areas of Mexico where the people are generally tending to taller, right? So what they realize is that some of these people, depending on what area of China they were coming from, were actually tall people trapped in small bodies because of their nutrition growing up, because of the lack of food, the lack of resources, because China. This a lot of okay. When was the railway built? 1800s, right? Work or die societies. If there's not enough food, somebody's going without. So just widespread malnutrition. The adults were not these. Okay, these adults were short because this particular group of people tends towards shortness. But this particular group of people were never short because of shortness. They were short because of malnutrition. And once they had better nutrition for their kids were suddenly exceeding in height. My son, one of his best friends growing up, his parents were from China. Just average short, two Chinese parents, average short people, came from a pretty rural background that was, had some suffering. And their kid, he's like, boom, the kid is 6'2". He's huge. It's like, yeah, because growing up, parents and grandparents didn't have the stuff. So they started to recognize. So some of these kind of studies are there. Some of these studies are out there, but also at the same time, the word racism pops up when you start looking at stuff like this, and so it gets really difficult to. How do you say this group of people is short because of their genetics, and this particular group of people is actually tall people that were stunted growth because of malnutrition, and you're not from that country, you're outside looking in. So we don't hear a lot about it. We hear more about Africa because the distinct differences between the various tribes and their heights is very distinct, and it's something that both groups, the pygmies are proud. They're proud of themselves. They're not like, I'm proud because I'm short, I'm proud because I'm tall, but they are distinct societies, and there's no question about it. You can't pretend that something's anyway. So my beating around the bush, half-assed explanation, because I half-ass everything in life. Since the 1800s, we went from the Middle Ages, everybody was farmers. This is another thing. Everybody was farmers. You grew it, you ate it, whatever. By the 1800s, we're living in cities, and it was so common in the 1800s for bread to be made and filled with sawdust, for milk to be full of plaster. More people are leaving the farms and no longer eating that natural diet. They're coming into the cities where everything's adulterated with something else. Widespread malnutrition, widespread starvation was happening in the cities. We were getting shorter. I always wonder about that phrase. What is the other half of your ass doing? In my case, the other half of my ass is just sitting here doing nothing. But anyway, I know I'm getting convoluted and confusing right off the bat, but there have been studies that show that we have globally entire populations of people that had they had better nutrition would be literally 1 or 2 feet, 1 foot, huge height difference in a single generation just based entirely on nutrition. So that's a thing, and that's a thing that matters because it's a thing that up until modern times, we never gave that a lot of thought. So if some kid was born to a pair of short parents and suddenly became tall, oh, he's a giant, right? And then we also have like Robert Wadlow. I'm just going to go right to the lots and lots of pictures right on the Wikipedia, right on the Google search page. Robert Wadlow, 8'11". He had a medical condition. Okay, this guy had a medical condition, and it killed him at the age of 22. This is Robert Wadlow. He was born, dead at 22. He had basically, there's a couple of different conditions that you can get, and I'm not sure what. In most cases, people that become extremely tall have some form of tumor or pituitary defect. So something's and he did. He had that. He had to walk with a cane because he grew so fast that his body couldn't keep up with the changes, right? And he died at the age of 22 and was still growing because he was born. Let me see. We're going to get to the cool stuff in a bit. I don't want that. Okay. I don't know why I went to that. I don't need that. I need that. I don't need that. You don't. It's going straight to height and feet, and I want to. Yeah, he was born 1918. So pituitary gland is a gland at the base of your skull. Yeah, now our nutrition North America has us expanding out instead of up, but it's also got us expanding up. We are taller now. Okay, average height of a European man, 65.7 inches. Average height of and I mean, this is also the problem, right? You kind of have to pick a race / culture and stick with it to see a thing. So we're just going to stick with ourselves. Okay. Well, I'm making an assumption, but anyway. Now the average height average human height by country. This is even better. So let's go to the UK. Let's go to the UK. That's kind of generally European. We'll start there. Average height in China, 5'8". Women, 5'3". Average height in Canada. Where's Canada? Canada should be right here. 5'9". Average height of women, 5'4". Average height in Croatia. Average height of a man in Croatia, 5'11". Women, 5'5.5". Cuba, 5'6". It's all over the place, right? And this is going to depend on our genetic background, our genetic / racial background, and it's also going to depend on a whole lot of other factors that we don't consider. Estonia, 5'10". Ethiopia, 5'6". I'm looking for UK. The Gambia, 5'6". I'm just going to do men's heights. Germany, 5'10.5". Germany, 5'11.5". East and West Germany. There's 2 Germany, 3 Germany, 4 Germany. There's 4 Germany here. What the heck's that all about? Oh, depending on the age. Oh, okay. So Germany in 2007 reported an average height of 5'9". Germany in 2021 reported an average of 5'10.5". I'm looking for the UK. Why? This is a huge fucking list. I literally just went on to. I literally found it again on. You know what? Oh, Ukraine, 5'9". The UK, 5'9". Scotland, 5'9". The United States, 5'9". And yet Canada was a little bit. Does it say 5'8"? Something like that. Okay. Anyway. So even though we as a country / culture are getting fatter, but we're also getting taller. We're getting taller. Yeah, it's me a sec. You should have already been modded. I think there's a couple of people that, yeah, let me see if I can do it quickly, because God knows I'm fucking slow at this shit. Yeah, anybody who's modded can share a link. Anybody who's modded can share a link. Oh, that's wrong. I want to be there. I want to be there. I don't want to be there. And I'm not trying too hard right now because I actually want to jump. I actually want to make a jump over to like David and Goliath and stories like that, right? Oh wait, honey. I have to be there. Oh, there we go. There we go. Let's ignore the echo. There's that one. You should be modded now, Robin. Oh wait, I think I screwed that up. Just give me a second. I don't think I did yours right. There we go. There we go. Yeah, Robin, you and Stevie, I modded both you and Stevie. I don't think I'm missing anybody else. There, because if you're modded, once you're modded, you can share a link. Oh, hi, Trisha. Of course I missed somebody. I gotta go back in and do it again. God, I'm an asshole. Okay. And I will tell you right now, when you're looking at, why is it doing that? It's putting me over there. Yeah, I want that. I want that. I want that. I want to stop that. Don't mind me. I'm just talking out loud to myself. I do this all the time. Lisa's like, what are you talking to? It's like, oh, I'm doing a process. And I want to make sure I don't skip something. There. I think I got everybody. So yeah, so that's that link that let's see what we got. Oh, I saw this. How giant human skeletons been found. I almost use this as my photo for my live stream. So basically we've got all the way over to the left, we've got a 6 foot tall present day human being, right? We've got a 1950s skeleton found in southeast Turkey that's measured 15 feet. Maximus Thrax, Caesar of Rome, 8 foot 6 inches tall. Then we've got the biblical Goliath, 10 foot 6. Og, king of Bashan, Deuteronomy 3, verse 3 to 11, 1400 BC, 12 feet tall. 19 feet 6 inches, 1577, under an overturned oak tree in the canton of Lucerne. 23 feet tall, 1456 AD in France, beside a river in Valencia. Can't remember. Oh yeah, the power of the blue wrench. I'll tell you right now. You know what? That's why nobody hassles us, because everybody's got a fucking wrench, and it's like I ain't starting nothing. It's a waste of time. Having the blue wrench also lets you share a link. You cannot share a link if you're not modded. But if you have interesting links to share, absolutely share them, people. So 36 feet tall, 650 to 640 AD, the Carthaginians uncovered two 36 foot skeletons of this size. An earthquake in Sumerian Bosphorus uncovered one more. These are reports of giants. And universally, the Bible was the giants mentioned in the Bible was just a euphemism for something else. They were talking about, in the Bible verse, it goes, there were giants on the earth in those days, men of old, men of renown. And we use the expression, if somebody's like, if you really, really admire somebody, JFK, he was a giant among men. We use those kind of sayings, right? So scholars tell us nonstop that this is not possible. This is not possible. Well, Maximus Thrax, Caesar of Rome, at 8 foot 6, How many people are over 8 foot tall? I thought the taller the better. Well, first of all, 8-foot humans are exceedingly rare. Only 29 men and 3 women in all of recorded history have been 8 feet or taller. How Let me see what I've got here. Yeah. So anybody reaching over 8 feet in height, I don't know that it's exceedingly rare, but it's exceedingly rare to remark on it. Like they found a brother and sister who were extremely tall, like almost 8 feet tall, and they were just quiet villagers living their life. Nobody really, I think there's plenty of super, super, super tall people around that whatever community they happen to live in just doesn't find it worth calling to anybody's attention. Yeah, I'm looking at 10, not the number of people. Oh, there's only been 29. Oh, there's been less than 10. Only 22 people. Yeah. How rare is 6'11"? 6'11" is extremely tall. Something like 1 in a million people. Well, 7 billion people on the planet. That's actually not that rare. Okay, so we know that a person who is we know that a person can reach those heights. Yeah, let's check out giant women. Oh, I'm sorry. The same thing was saying like there's 2 women that have gone over. There's 2 women that have reached over 8 feet in height. Less than 3,000 people in the world are 7 feet tall. Can a woman be 7 feet tall? Yeah, world's tallest living woman is more than 7 feet tall. What percentage of the population? Yeah, just go to any NBA game, right? Thing is, this is the thing. So this is where I'm gonna get. Yeah, what do we mean by the word giant? So this is where I'm gonna get off on my tangent. Where's that thing? Yeah, so this goes in this goes into Q&A. The question that we need to ask ourselves is not, can a person be this tall? We know that they can. Currently in our modern society, I'm on the wrong page. Where's the right page? There it is. Yeah. I wonder what medical conditions these people have. I get vertigo when I stand up too fast, so how much they feel. Generally speaking, most of these people that are extremely tall have some sort of disease or illness that contributes to their height. This is what we know. But okay, Robert Wadlow, world's tallest man, he was like one of 5 kids. He had a pituitary disorder. The rest of his family was normal size. When we start looking at populations of people who are running super tall, no, tribe. I want the word tribe. The Tutsi. The Dinka tribe of the Tutsi are noted for their height, and along with the Tutsi of Rwanda, they are the tallest group in Africa. Average height 5'11", so around 6 feet tall. This is the average height, with the women not being much shorter. I'm not going to get very good. What tribe in Africa was 12 feet tall? There we go. Greek legends of the Sirbotai. We're not going to get a were a tribe of 12-foot tall African men. Pliny the Elder, on the African side of the Ethiopian kingdom of Meroe are the Medimni, and then a nomad tribe that lives on the milk of the dog-faced baboon. I don't know what this are said to be 12 foot high. This is noted by Pliny the Elder back in first century AD. So the idea that giants existed is not a new idea. It is not even remotely a new idea. So here's the thing. Most extremely tall people now have some form of pituitary disorder. They have an issue. And brain surgery it's still, I mean, now I guess it's not that, I guess it is a big deal, but you're going into a gland that's in the base of the skull. All those surgeries are not easy, right? So most giants that we're aware of right now that we acknowledge as giants, they have a disease, they have a disorder, they have something wrong with them, and that's why they're growing. They also live very short lives. But why is it that we have references? Why are we finding all of this stuff that talks about giants as a race, as a subset, as a something, right? Why do we have so much of this in our history? The Bible, and the Bible, don't forget, we are a Judeo-Christian society. Our Bible says there were giants on the earth in those days, men of old, men of renown. That's what starts the whole giant thing in the Bible. Then we have Goliath. Then we have Nimrod. Nimrod is not just an insult. Nimrod was a mighty hunter in the Bible. Nimrod actually means mighty hunter. And how tall was Nimrod in the Bible? Well, there's no specific reference to him in the Bible. A mighty warrior and a figure in the... Yeah, so Nimrod is described as a mighty warrior, but he is also described, referenced as part of those giant... There were giants on the earth in those days, men of old, men of renown, and then they almost immediately start talking about certain people who were great heroes of that age, and Nimrod was one of them. It's actually apparently Nimrod, R-U-D, instead of Nimrod, but anyway. Yeah, Nimrod was the son of Cush, and he established several key cities, including Babylon, Uruk, Akkad, and Calneh. These are all cities these are all cities that existed before the stories of the Bible happened, where a lot of the stories from Babylon are identical to stories from the Bible. Anyway, the reason why I'm mentioning this is because Nimrod and his contemporaries, the people that existed around the same time as he was considered to be a bigger, badder, better hero than Goliath. Goliath was not a hero Goliath was the enemy in the Bible, but he was the hero of his people, right? Goliath was a giant. Goliath was supposed to be 10 feet tall. He was mentioned as in reference to the land of Assyria. Yeah, his height and physical appearance is not discussed in the Bible, but what is mentioned about him in the Bible kind of leaves him in the same category as there were giants on the earth in those days references, right? Speculations and legends about his height. While the Bible provides limited information about Nimrod, his stature has become the subject of numerous legends and speculations. Some interpretations suggest that Nimrod may have been a giant, drawing comparisons to other biblical giants such as the sons of Anak. Well, let's see how tall they were. These are people that, according to our belief system, existed. Sons of Anak, let's see. And Caleb drove thence 3 sons of Anak, Sheshai, Ahiman, and Talmai. Yeah, and then Goliath is believed to be one of the descendants of these giants. The Nephilim, the sons of God, are also referred to as giants. Let's see. Yeah, see, this is why I don't. Okay, let's see. Yeah, in the book of Enoch, they were great giants whose height was 300 cubits, but a cubit is 18 inches, so this would make them 450 feet tall. So that's where people go, oh, that can't be right. Yeah, that. Oh yeah, the Easter Island giant statues and the Olmec heads. It's like no. I am not doing this justice today because I'm distracted and blah blah. But okay, so we've got references in the Bible to people who could have been up to 450 feet tall, which it's kind of interesting because we've got pounds and inches and stuff like that. Like look at me just struggling to translate between centimeters and feet because I finished high school right when Canada started adopting the metric system. Oh, you're not guilty of distracting anybody. We already know that these are rabbit hole shit show conversations. So there's no surprises there. So the thing is that we know what do we know? What do we know? For me, this is simple. We know that medically speaking, a human being can grow to be 8'11", Robert Wadlow's height. Okay. We know that there are groups of people who their particular group, region, race, whatever you want to call it, we know that there are tribes of people in the world right now who average 6 feet in height, which is 6 feet in height is tall. We know that there are other groups that are catching up to that. At the time that the New World was discovered, okay, how tall? We know, okay, we know that Europeans, our height has increased over time, and that the only times in history when our height has started to go down was right in line with during the 1800s was rapid industrialization. The air was super polluted. We were concentrating into cities, and in the cities, spoiled meat. That's okay. One of the reasons why we spice our food is one of the reasons why Europeans got so heavily into spicing their food was to cover the taste of rancid meat. They would it was super competitive. There was more people than food, blah blah blah. Baker would get in his flour and a load of sawdust. Oh look, I have blood work done. Doesn't that suck? Just basic, and they had to try twice. So yeah, I got all my shit done in 1 week. But so yes, if you're seeing, I was thinking about blaming Lisa, but it's pretty obvious that it's not. I might be able to get away with it, but anyway. So during the 17 to 1800s, we had this massive influx of people from the countryside into the cities. Industrialization was starting, all this other stuff. We started getting smaller again. We started getting shorter again because we were now no longer, like I said, products were almost all food in the 1800s was adulterated with something. Plaster of Paris mixed into milk. And this is what we were feeding our babies. We were, bread. The reason why white bread became so popular, white bread became popular for a bunch of Vampire Unicorn Lisa bled you from your elbow pits. There you go. We can blame it. Yeah, weird hickey. So anyway, we have the scientifically documented thing of what nutrition and lifestyle can do for height. We have influxes of immigrants from poor areas who suddenly we assume, oh, most Chinese people are within this height range, so we're not thinking about it. And then all of a sudden, this group is suddenly half a foot to a foot taller. They're kids. It's like, oh, nutrition matters. So we have evidence. We know this. Okay, I'm making this a bigger point than I need to make it. So what happens if you, oh, and we also know the pituitary is what creates growth hormone. Okay. We know that at a certain age, okay, so you're growing, right? And then around the age of like 20, I think it's like 18 to 20 for girls and 20 to 22 or 23 for boys, right? That the growth hormone, that we stop producing growth hormone. So this matters. So this is okay. This is just my logic. I do this thing. It's like, does it logically make sense? Before I start, I love exploring a good conspiracy theory. I love exploring this stuff, but I'm a skeptical believer. I believe everything is worth exploring, but I also believe that there needs to be a few logic tests that we pass first before we like, okay, let's deep dive this, right? This is okay. That's not some specific thing specific to this conversation. This is just what drives my thinking and why I always play the logically speaking, what makes sense, right? So what happens if we reach the age of 20 and instead of our pituitary turning off the growth hormone, what if it just slows it down? We have our growth spurt, right? The reason why Robert Wadlow passed away at the age of 22 was not because of his height. It was because of the uncontrolled, it just didn't stop. It didn't stop. It didn't slow down. His body never got the chance to catch up to the changes. So what happens if that, whatever it is that turns off our pituitary, what if it only slows it down to a trickle so that throughout the rest of our lives, we continue to grow like an alligator, like most amphibians, right? So what if we know that nutrition and lifestyle and overall environment controls our height to a great degree, to a much greater degree than we give credit for. So why isn't it possible that back in the day, our pituitaries never fully turned off, slowed down to a point after the initial growth spurt, slowed down to a point where our bodies could catch up. Our bodies could adjust to the continued growth, right? Like, why is that impossible? We see this in fish, amphibians, a lot of reptiles. We see this in nature all the time where certain types of animals just never stop growing. There is no reason why we couldn't have been one of them. And then we're going to add another layer. So we know that tendency toward height is normal. Some cultures have it, some cultures don't. Sometimes it's racial, sometimes it's nutritional, sometimes it's, I guess, tribal. I'm not sure what the word is. And then you reach back thousands and thousands of years and they're documenting this shit. They are documenting this and we're shrugging it off. It's like, oh, they didn't understand that. Yeah, and we consider giants in terms of height. We also have people who weigh over 1,000 pounds, but we don't consider them giants. That has a different label. And this is the thing. It's like, turn off the pituitary, turn on the pituitary gland. Let the person keep growing. Turn off the situation turn off the speed. And that 1,000 pound person could suddenly become somebody who's 18 feet tall, right? That's a stretch. I mean, that's a stretch. I mean, I am not going to change my personal biology and suddenly become 12 feet tall. But we also have, and we looked at this not last week before, we looked at this already. Okay, when we were looking at mammoths. The last surviving population of mammoths was about half the size of an existing mammoth because of environmental and food considerations. But we also have the opposite. We also have the opposite of let me see if I can find it. Come on. Of course, I'm not going to see a really cool photo. I was hoping for a really cool photo. Let's see. Why, here's a really good one. Was this the one? Video. It's a YouTube video. This is one. Oh, these aren't good ones. Okay, cave bears. Cave bears, giant ground sloths, crocodiles, alligators. We have evidence again and again and again. I'm not gonna find a cool picture, so now you just gotta listen to my voice. But we have evidence again and again and again. Yeah, this is. Oh, there you go. This is just a Reddit page, but I'm gonna bring it up. I'm gonna bring up this Reddit page. This is cool. Come on. Come on. This is just a Reddit page, but we're going to share it because this is showing come on, there we go. This is a size comparison. The one on the left is a modern day adult black bear, and the one on the right is an extinct Eurasian cave bear. How is it that we accept without question the idea that all these different types of animals, every kind of animal, every kind, we accept that, okay, in one point in history when there was horses in North America, we had horses in North America, and then they died out, and then of course they were reintroduced with colonization, right? The horses in North America were like tiny. They were little. A wild North American horse prehistory was a little itty bitty thing. And now we have Clydesdales, right? So why is it that we can accept this? Yeah, a Chihuahua versus a Great Dane. Why is it that we can accept that a cave bear could have been big enough to make an easy meal out of a black bear? And if you've seen a black bear, they're fucking big and they're strong. So it's like, there it is. Okay, so when I hope I can spell it. In BC, ooh, we had giant cave bears here. 24,000 years ago. So 24,000 years ago, that bear could have been alive. But the idea that 24,000 years ago, enjoy your meeting, enjoy your tarot study. So 24,000 years ago, when we existed in the form that we exist today, okay, 24,000 years ago, a giant cave bear was okay and existed. All kinds of other animals existed. This is just one really good. This is a really obvious example. At least for some reason, it's obvious to me, right? 24,000 years ago, we had giant animals that no longer exist. But the idea that we could have had giant humans, we're just not okay with that. It makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. So like this is passing every logic test. Sorry, I gotta get I've got to fiddle and fidget now. This is passing every single logic test I have. It's like the Bible reaches back thousands and thousands of years, talking about things that happened thousands and thousands of years ago. At the time that Nimrod existed, at the time that the story of David and Goliath was happening, there could very well likely. Okay, wait. Let's just do this. Let's just do the thing. Okay. Okay, last mammoth goes extinct about 4,000 years ago. Okay, when did the events of David? Oh, if I could spell Goliath. A 1,000 years ago. Okay. So David, the story of David Goliath, the story of David and Goliath happened closer to the time of the extinction of the last mammoth population that we know about. And I think there's an argument. I think we can make an argument for the idea that mammoths still exist, because there's still there's a big business. Well, there was a big business in Russia out of collecting mammoth tusks. Oh, we found them frozen in the tundra. And it's like, okay, but how old are these really, right? I think they're older. I think it's possible. I think it's quite, if mammoths exist, I think they're actually, if mammoths could still exist and not necessarily be all that rare, there's entire areas of Canada where nobody fucking goes. Anyway, so the story of David and Goliath happened closer to the extinction of the mammoths than it did to our existence now. Right? And David and Goliath happened, like the Bible, the events of the Bible reach back. The events of the Bible reach back to like 6,000 years, and the mammoth disappeared 4,000 years. It's like, no, it makes no sense. Anyway, let's get into the fun stuff though. So, which one's that? That's not what I need. I don't need that right now. I don't need that. These are mounds. These are basically, these are mounds. They're found all over the mound builders. Okay, across the United States, there are burial mounds, or at least their remnants, some as extensive in size as the Great Pyramid of Giza. The Cahokia and Monk's Mounds in Illinois and Missouri are two thought to have been built around the arrival of Columbus. This mound is 100. The Cahokia Mound is 100 feet tall with a 14-acre base. This is a mound. They built this mound. Inside these mounds, these are burial mounds. These are burial mounds. This matters because inside these mounds, this is what they're saying they found. They started opening up these mounds and started finding stuff like this, giant skeletons, and they started finding them over and over and over and over and over again. And the first thing that happened is that the Smithsonian came in and seized all the skeletons, and eventually, these mounds are now protected. Old reports in New England of giant skeletons unearthed from these mounds, often with 2 rows of teeth and jaws that could fit over the head of a normal-sized human. The skeletons ranged in length from 7 to 10 feet tall. While this may sound ridiculous at first glance, it was not an isolated incident and is supported by reports from reputable sources at the time. And this, let me see if I can just bring this one up directly. Nope, that's not the one I want. Okay. If you look up giants, if you look up giants, especially over here, you get the Giants football team. So you really have to go looking. I had it. Oh my God, I had it. Where is that? I found a really cool image that you guys are just going to love. Do. This is, found it. This is from Wisconsin. Wisconsinology. Come on, you can do it. Do I need to? Oh man, it's not going to show the whole thing. So this is a giant skeleton. These guys toured around with this skeleton, obviously, because that's what people did back then. But they were never really able to debunk this skeleton. And look how much taller. It's like at least 2 to 3 feet taller than these guys. It's not a very good photo. Let me see if I can find a better one. Let's see what I can find. Okay, well, I'm going to share it over onto this tab because this is the two guys, and this is the skeleton. This is the remains of a body that they dug up from somewhere, showing it around, right? We have got photo after photo after photo of giants, of people that had to have been 8, 9, 10, 12 feet high. We've got photos of it all over the place. This is a drawing. This is a drawing from basically what they would do is go when they went doing their exploring stuff, right? They would usually have somebody with them because they couldn't take pictures. So they would usually have somebody drawing things. This was a drawing taken of an explorer trading with some natives and how tall they were. And don't forget, the really interesting part about this is that we historically explorers were paving the way for some shitty stuff, and sometimes they thought they were helping and sometimes they knew damn well that that's not what they were doing. But the thing is, they never wanted to portray the natives as being bigger, stronger, healthier, in any way better. They did not like portraying natives as anything but dumb. They needed the public behind this idea that, oh, we're going to go in and do this because we're better than them. This does not show, oh, this guy is like, almost twice my height. That's not, you can't work with that. Yeah, photo evidence is no longer credible. And yeah, Trisha says, I don't understand the need to hide. Like, why? What could possibly be wrong about knowing giants were a thing? And Moira says that of that other photo, were they remains? Yeah, they were remains. Basically, every single time. Oh, this was just fanciful. This was just whatever. There's always a reason behind it. Okay. These are two soldiers. I'm not sure what country they would be from, but obviously this is the stereotypical David and Goliath, right? Goliath was reported to be extremely tall. Nobody said this is this was reported as factual stuff. The battle between David and Goliath was, the Lord guided David's hand so he could get him, because he got him on the temple, right? And if you hit somebody in the temple in just the right way, we know that can be really damaging. So it's like, this was a lot of times back then, you have two forces ready to do combat, but if the two champions choose to meet each other, if one beats the other, it's very demoralizing. It can make the other side decide that they don't want to fight anymore. So the two, and this is what this was all about. This was reported as a very matter-of-fact, I don't want to be on that page. This was reported as a very matter-of-fact, basic thing. It was like, oh, this is no big deal. This is just what happens. Okay. This was not this was not, okay, they blew the horn and the walls of Jericho came down. It's like, oh, there are so many missing steps here, right? That story of the walls of Jericho coming down, which is a big battle in the Bible, right? It's like, okay, how do you blow a horn and the walls come down? Okay, that makes, there's shit missing. Okay, a kid with a sling hits a guy in the right spot and kills him instantly. We know people have, there was a big trend. There was a big trend among jackasses to walk up and sucker punch somebody, and people were dying from being hit in just the right spot. So it's like, this makes no sense. So we're going through this stuff, but it's like, oh, this is Photoshop. That can't possibly be real. And it's like, can we? Of course, I don't. So we've got this. We have no idea if this is a real guy. This one up here. The one on the guy on the top left over the crowd. Thanks to Photoshop, we have no idea if that's real or not real. But this was supposedly real. It's like, anyway. The interesting thing is, a lot of the reports of giants are coming back with reporting double rows of teeth, red hair, double rows of teeth, extremely tall. And the funny thing is that when you get into descriptions of the no. Let me see. I'm not going to find it. Okay. So Planet X is a theoretical planet that shows up all over the place. Let me see. I don't think I'm going to find anything. No, I'm just finding pictures of planets. Okay. Sumeria, the Sumerian religion talks about the Nephilim. Okay, the Nephilim came down from the sky and civilized mankind, taught us all of our stuff, did all of our things, right? According to, they could have just said David was huge to make. They could have said he was huge to make him look better. And this is the thing, but they were very clear on who Goliath was, how tall he was. And yeah, David, he was huge. He was 10 feet tall. Him and his brothers were giants. So there's a story, and you see this Zechariah Sitchin. The Babylonians, who are not who came first. Who came before the Babylonians? Yeah, the Akkadians and the Assyrians. Okay. The Babylonians were under King Hammurabi from 1792 BCE. Oh, I got a little itty bitty little chickadee out there. Okay. So there are stories, there are things. The whole story of Planet X, the story of Planet X is basically the Nephilim came down from Planet X. They needed resources for their planet. They were mining on Earth. They needed help. They developed and created humans to basically do the work. So to be a slave race, which that's the story that goes around. The Nephilim were giants, and they started interbreeding with humans. And of course, depending on how you look on that, you can look at that and go, was it interbreeding or was it genetic manipulation to make us more intelligent to follow their orders better? Blah blah blah. That's a whole separate thing. We could do an entire thing just talking about this. So anyway, the punchline of the Nephilim story is that these are aliens that came down to Earth, and they are responsible for uplifting us from our previous existence, Denisovian, Neanderthal, Homo erectus, Homo australopithecus, and they are basically who took us and turned us into Homo sapien. That is some pretty big conspiracy theory stuff, right? But the physical description of them is red hair, double rows of teeth, extreme height, like 15 feet plus, up to 30, anywhere from 15 to 36 feet tall. and they came down. So basically, the punchline being they're not human. That is the punchline. Is that the punchline of some of these stories is that if we were to ever get hold of an actual giant skeleton and do a DNA test, the true giants, the 15 feet and up giants, if we were ever to get a hold of any of these, if we were ever to get a hold of any of these giants, we would find out that the bigger they are, the less human they are. That Goliath, as like a 10-foot giant, was a pipsqueak among the Nephilim because he was a crossbreed of some kind. And this is the conspiracy theory that wraps around giants, especially giants in North America. The other story being, the other one, the close cousin of the other one, is that Atlantis, that the people that populated Atlantis were not human. They were the descendants of these people, that they were also giants. They were a race of giants. So basically, Atlantis, Lemuria, and Mu were like the big three superpowers of this species that, each one's got slight. Okay, so the Atlantean thing is the Atlanteans and two other countries, superpowers. They were a non-human species or only partially human species of giants. The other one being Planet X, the Nephilim from Nibiru come down, and they are also non-human. So the conspiracy theory around a lot of the giant stuff is that close examination shows that they are not human, or they're only partially human. And the Smithsonian cover-up, well, let me see now. So these are just some examples of some of the mounds that were built across North America. And some of them were inhabited, some of them weren't. But a lot of them contain bodies. And the stories pretty consistently, like look at this here. I don't know if this is going to show up properly. Let me see if I can bring it up. Yeah, alien origin. That's the conspiracy theory, right? Is it like, so basically we've got this. So these are mounds. These are mounds. That's all. I think that's one I already showed. But so these mound builders a lot of these mounds contain bodies, and a lot of the bodies were seized by the Smithsonian or turned over to the Smithsonian. So the thing is that the conspiracy theories around all this are that why does our science try so hard to say that giants could never have existed, in spite of an inconvenient amount of proof popping up time and time and time again? And I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, not sorry. This is that Canadianism creeping in again. But I was like, sorry about your luck. But when this is showing up in our own Bible, which at the same time that they are saying giants aren't real, is also at the same time. This is why the Bible is the Bible, to me personally, is a kind of an important source, because at the same time that scientists are saying the Bible isn't real, these exact same scientists, we're talking people coming out of the 17 and 1800s, early 1900s. At the same time these scientists are saying this stuff isn't real, these scientists are also still very, very firmly in the camp of Jesus was real, the Bible is real, all of the stuff, the Bible speaks the literal truth. It's like, then why are you saying giants aren't real? Oh, well, Goliath could have existed as an anomaly, but there's no way he's as tall as they said he was. And they start with the song and dance. So my personal belief is that whatever is going on with these giant skeletons, there's something about them that the conspiracy theory people, that the men in black suits, those men in black do not want too much scrutiny over what is going on with these skeletons. So they're either finding technology that they can't explain. They're finding that they are a species they can't explain. They're finding something. I think there's definitely Sorry to be so Canadian. Yeah, pretty much. It's a Canadian thing. Did you know that in Canada, if something happens and you apologize, that you cannot be held legally liable for apologizing because I'm sorry. If something happens, like, okay, I get into a fender bender and I get up and go, oh, I'm so sorry. That cannot be held against me as an admission of truth. That is how ingrained saying I'm sorry is in Canada. We just do it, but it's more of an, it's like, like it's kind of like the whole, bless your heart. And I know there's a couple of them there's a couple of these types of euphemisms that exist over in Europe too. That it means a huge range of things. And because it does, the fact that you've said, I'm sorry, it's like, well, they bumped it. They ran into me and then said, I'm sorry. It's like, that's not an admission of guilt in this country. Legally speaking, it's like, this is awesome. This is awesome. I love my country. What the hell was that? Ooh. Come on, look at this for a minute. I'm going to be looking at that later. Oh, I don't want to watch that. That's stupid. Okay. I had a pop-up. The thing is, you start looking for a certain thing and suddenly all this stuff pops up. One thing that I want to point out, though. Yeah, these are the mounds. What am I still stuck on? These are the mounds. They're everywhere. Yeah, never apologize if you have a fender bender. Lawyer here. No, it's the whole in the face of ambiguity, the fact that you have apologized cannot be held against you in court. It's I seriously doubt if it's written into our law, and I forget where and how. So I'm not gonna, if you're a lawyer, I'm not gonna tell you your business, but I do know that I do know that in the cases of, if the situation is relatively ambiguous, the fact that you've apologized can't be held against you. It's like, dude, I'm just being polite. That's just what I did. I didn't do anything wrong. Because people have tried to, well, they said they were sorry. It's like, dude, you backed into me. Like, what the fuck? I said, I'm sorry because I'm a Canadian. But anyway. And maybe that's a civil court thing. I don't know. Anyway, so the thing is, there is so much proof. So much proof. But we have also so much Photoshop, so much stuff. Yeah, this is the impossible biomechanics of giants. But the thing is that the biomechanics of giants is already the biomechanics of giants in any species. They've already done stuff that basically says that they've done studies that basically say that it's possible that even our gravity has changed, the density of our atmosphere has changed over time, and they already have done studies that prove that with changes of air density, changes of actual atmospheric density, changes in gravity, changes in atmospheric composition, so the oxygen levels, changes in oxygen level can immediately and profoundly affect the size of insects and other smaller animals. So it's like, well, wait a second. So if we have had changes, so what if 1,000 years ago our oxygen levels were triple what they are now? Oxygen is what fuels the human body. What if we had good food supplies, triple the oxygen, and a genetic disposition for our pituitary gland to never quite fully shut off? We could have 12-foot people, healthy, functional, 12-foot tall people. We could have that, right? And they just don't want to admit it. This is Patagonia. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Oh, it's a podcast. Oh, share this tab again. This is something that I found. Okay, Patagonia is off of South America. And in Patagonia, when they made their maps back in the 1500s, 1600s, whatever, when they made their maps back then, they would, the like this here shows giant people. Gigantum Regio shows giants. This is the land of giants. Giants live here. When they made their maps back then, they would show, so if there was a large lake, it might say land of the large lake. It might say good hunting, and show depictions of what kind of animals to find. Cannibals. Okay, these guys are dangerous. Cannibals. So most of these maps had something that indicated what the important feature of the area was. Patagonia, southern South America, was the land of giants. And according to history, according to Magellan's history, 1520, Ferdinand Magellan made time in his worldwide seafaring schedule to stop in what is now Patagonia, where he encountered giants. Let me double check and make sure I'm given the right location. Patagonia. Yeah, it's in South America. So, yeah, southern Argentina and southern Chile. So that whole area. Huh? Oh, dire wolves were real. Dire wolves were real. We don't talk about this shit. Let's switch over here. The dire wolf was real and went extinct about 10,000 years ago. So a husky dog, a gray wolf, a dire wolf, and a human. They were fucking huge. 7 feet long, which means that if that's 7 feet long, that's from nose to tail, right? That means that if this were to stand on its hind legs, it would be taller than it would be taller than all but the very tallest of people. They were huge. They were real. Yeah, land of the big feet. You're right. I remember that reference. So Patagonia, yeah, land of the big feet. A lot of the things that we don't believe are real. Dire wolves are a great trope. Yeah, yeah, we bump into, yeah, this is what Moira just said about the sorry, that we bump into each other in the grocery store. Sorry. Yeah. So, yeah, we're bad for that. Well, there used to be dinosaurs, or we just had our dinosaur chat last week. There still are dinosaurs. We just don't acknowledge it properly. So, and scientists we do not acknowledge the existence of dinosaurs correctly, and science doesn't correct us. So it's like alligators, turtles, a huge variety of fish, sturgeon. The modern chicken is like closely related to velociraptors. Velociraptors are related. We do not, because one of the biggest tropes that we see in science is that dinosaurs could not evolve. Therefore, there are no more living dinosaurs, except for this huge list of shit that still exists. But we're just going to pretend those aren't dinosaurs. It's like, I'm sorry. Yeah, half wolf, half dog hybrids get bigger than dogs and wolves. Yeah. Yeah, no, the dire wolf was a real wolf. It was a giant wolf. It was a giant wolf that existed at the same time as human beings. Giant cave bears exist. We existed in our current form during the existence of giant ground sloths, dire wolves, giant cave bears. We existed at a time when most other animals, warm-blooded animals, had a giant version. Why didn't we? Right? Why didn't we? The conditions were conducive. And don't forget, okay, a 7-foot long wolf, a wolf that stands almost the same. And they might have, they might have. Then again, people eat alligator all the time. What does alligator taste like? Like, just go, let's find out. Actually, let's not find out. Let's try and stay on track for 2 seconds. So there's that photo. That's the photo of Magellan talking to the Patagonians. I mean, not photo, sorry, picture of Magellan talking to the Patagonians, right? That is probably, that is too, the footprints here are too precise to be real. But let us go. Okay, we're still on that. Oh, I'm looking at it. No, I'm not looking at that. Footprint. If I could spell. But here's some other stuff that's real. Let us share this tab. This is the giant's footprint. And again, oh, there's a better view of it. So this is, oh, it's a better view, but it's a crappier photo. So this is the giant's footprint in what would have been mud at the time. But if you come up here, let's see if I can get a bigger photo of this. It's not really, it's the sun, but I've looked and looked and looked and looked and looked. This is a legitimate photo, okay? But what you're seeing here is you're seeing along the top of the photo, that's the mud that's been squeezed out in front of the toes. And what his other hand is on is the mud that's been squeezed sideways away from the foot. This is a giant footprint that was put into the mud. God knows how long ago that was. Bizarre footprint of God is 4 feet long, which means the thing which left it would have been 27 feet tall. And that let me see. This is another one, the toes in stone. This is not a carving. This has been there for a long time. That's the same one again. And don't forget, like as geologic forces happen, a piece of a piece of stone like that would have been like a soft, sandy, muddy beach at some point in time. And over time, geological changes turn rocks completely on their sides, do all sorts of things. This is another one in stone. Don't know what this is. A giant footprint, not sure of what. Yeah, this is in South Africa. This giant footprint is in South Africa. I'm not sure where that one is. That one's probably a hoax, right? Oh, this giant footprint symbolizes the destruction of nature. So it's an art piece. This giant footprint, the enigmatic footprint of a man 40 feet tall. So if that can be confirmed as a human footprint, the person that made it would have been 40 feet tall. That don't know. That could be almost anything. It's really big. It could also be a dinosaur footprint because of the way that the toes are shaped. That one's just in the middle of there's one just in the middle of nowhere. And these are not. Yeah, that's a 200 million year old footprint. Okay. This is the thing. This is the conspiracy theory that, and these are all just different takes of the same footprint. Hey, which one says Nike? Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a couple of these that are definitely hoaxes, for sure. What, this one says Nike? No, that one doesn't say anything. Yeah, that's in a. This one's in a riverbed. This one's actually in a riverbed. I think those stones were to keep the water out. So some of these footprints are like, the South African footprint of God. They call it the footprint of God. Thing is that the elements about that footprint. Yeah, it's located 5 kilometers from Lunga town. There are two footprints, and they're each 18 inches long. Wait, that's a different one. Oh, that's a different one. 18-inch long footprints. Eve's footprints. Discovered hidden away on the shores of Langaban Lagoon, 100 kilometers north of Cape Town, along the Whale Trail. These are not footprints that are sitting in easy to get to areas. These are like, if this is a hoax, it's the stupidest hoax ever, because it's not gonna do anything. Yeah, that's not the right photo. Or maybe that is. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, this is talking about female footprints that are found on a beach, but it's a clearly crap photo. Yeah, the giant footprint of South Africa in Mpumalanga is 1.2 meters. Oldest footprint ever found, 3.66 million years old. The youngest is 0.7 million years old. Not made by Homo sapiens. That's weird. Okay. So anyway, I'm not going to keep looking. I'm not going to keep looking at footprints. It gets boring. But yeah, the dire wolf was real. So there's that. Giant footprints. Yeah, here's a bit of a close-up. I'm not sure if it's a very good one or not. It might look better from here. The thing about this footprint that I find really fascinating is that there's a pushed up outcropping of the stone, as if they when you step in mud, when you step in a muddy spot, the mud just kind of gushes up between your toes, forward, off to the sides, and this fits everything, and it's not in an easily accessible location. So it's like, okay, that's interesting. So there's not really any reason for this footprint to be it's just, yeah, it's the mushiness, the whatever, the mushiness of mud is preserved in this footprint. It makes no sense. I think it's very whoops, I closed the wrong one. Okay, let's go back. It's 3:38. I've got to be done. Like we're talking to the guys about the deck, so I've got to make sure that I'm ready to get off of this live stream and get onto a different one. Okay, what was I going to look up? What was I looking up? I was going to get something. I was going to do something, and then I got distracted. The footprints are really, really cool for a whole lot of reasons. But what's really, really interesting is at the same time all of these other giant animals existed, they're saying, oh, humans could never get that big. And it's like, wait a second, this makes no sense. Okay, let me see if I can find this. This is a really obvious one. Okay, so it's like, well, wait a second. How exactly does a wolf that only lives, I mean, we're assuming that a wolf in the wild lives for about 10 to 15 years, right? And it's like, so you're telling me that it spends its entire life growing to get to that size with no ill effects. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. You're telling me that we have entire groups of people for whom it is normal to become almost 6 feet tall. And I get it. Growing pain. I mean, tall people that become really tall, like, you know, people that are like people that are over 6 feet tall quite often report growing pains growing up, right? During their growth spurts and stuff. Both of my kids had. John's about what, 5'10" or so, and Steven's just at 6 feet. They both had the very stereotypical, I got a little bit of this, oh, it's a growing pain, you'll be fine, blah, blah, blah. But we have, how is it that we can't say that they can't go a little bit further? They can't grow a little bit longer. They can't do it and be healthy. It makes no sense. I want to see. There we go. There's one. Is that one? No, that's not a good one. There's not a good one. Oh, there's a good one. Okay. This is Anubis. I'll get him up in a second. Yeah, a pack of world dire wolves versus normal sized humans. The thing is, we have proof. We have proof in the geologic record that that some of the previous species. That's not the one I want. There we go. I'm just going to share this. This is a pretty basic thing, and I don't think I have to show a ton of this to make the point. And that is almost all of the gods of antiquity, all of them are portrayed like this is Anubis, and this is the scales, and depending on, and I forget the entire, he weighs your heart and it has to be as light as a feather or something like that, right? But this is the human whose heart he's weighing. See the size difference, right? It's hard the minute you put in just something basic like the minute you put in something basic, you don't quite get the there we go. Well, this is a lot better. Oh, this is Amazon. This is an Amazon link. We don't want to do Amazon links. Yeah, this is a lot better. This is a lot better. Okay. If I can get it to be bigger, share this tab. This is much better. This is much better. Okay, so we've got a similar thing, right? But you can always tell who the gods are because they're bigger. They're significantly bigger. The only other character that would be close in size would be the pharaoh. And even the pharaoh is not, oh, I'm not screen sharing. There we go. Okay, so you can tell which ones are the gods. They are bigger. In the way that they show art in Egypt and whatever, they show the gods and they're huge. They're physically large. The kings, who are supposed to be descendants of the gods, are bigger, and then the rest of the people are smaller. Physical size, physical height. Oh, I never took that down. I have got to I got to start paying. Yeah, giant animals would have killed the normal size ones. Well, this is the thing. It's like, that's what I was going to look up. But the thing is, okay, so almost every single representation showing the gods, showing anything to do with religion, this is these are all, they all have a very distinct size difference between the gods, the leaders, and the people. Always. The leaders, the pharaohs, the leaders, the kings, the emperors, any of these religions, from the Egyptian, because you got to go backwards. You got to go to the Egyptians, the Babylonians, the Akkadians, the Sumerians. You got to go backwards. They all represent them the same way. Every single one has the same representation. The gods came down from heaven. They were giants. They created us, educated us, taught us how to serve them, blah, 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 blah. The pharaohs and leaders were almost always, well, the pharaohs and leaders were the gods were the leaders. And then their children, who were half god, half human, then became the leaders, but they were still bigger. I mean, we have so much documentation that the idea that a race of giants should not surprise us, and it does. It's like crazy. The last thing. Oh, this is from 2022. Yeah, baseless. The ancient giants who ruled America, giant human skeletons. Here's the thing. Okay, let's go to the Reuters. Let's go to the Reuters article and see what we can see. Claims that the Smithsonian destroyed thousands of giant skeletons are many years old and satirical. Claims that Oh, they're not even going to talk about it. Yeah, a keyword search on Google did not lead. Basically, mound. Okay, so giant skeletons reported in the United States until the early 20th century were a combination of hoaxes, scams, fabrication, and the misidentification of extinct megafauna. We can have megafauna, we cannot have megahuman. It's like, that makes no sense. There is absolutely no logical sense to the idea that we could have megafauna and that humans are incapable of doing that, because the pituitary gland controls size. We don't know how. Well, we do know that the pituitary gland is turned off. We probably already know what chemical turns it off. We don't know why we produce it. Why is it a biological advantage for us to stop growing? Why is it biologically advantageous to us to stop growing after a certain point? We know that it is, but why would we believe that our species has never existed in any other state, or that there could not be branches of humanity that don't still exist the same way? So, of course, the claims of giant skeletons were debunked in 1934. Curator of anthropology at the Smithsonian Institution, the Smithsonian opposed the popular myth that an ancient white race were the mound builders. The role of the I can't even say it, I'm stuttering today. In debunking such claims led to a conspiracy theory that they were destroying giants' bones in order to cover up the existence of giants. Here's the problem. People are clearly on record as having, we found a grave. Clearly on record as having turned those bones over to the Smithsonian, and then the bones are never seen again. I can debunk anything if I am the one that is in control of all the evidence. I write the narrative. It's just that simple. And the reality is that if these are red-headed giants with double rows of teeth and they're like 15 feet plus in height, even if they are fully naturally and normally human, they're going to be so fucking different from anything that we have ever experienced that there's going to be a lot of people that are going, we can't let the general public know about this. Did the Smithsonian destroy them? Don't know. But the Smithsonian is around a whole bunch of beliefs. The Smithsonian, there are so many conspiracies around the Smithsonian covering up evidence of all sorts of things. It's to the point where it's like the Smithsonian might as well just open their doors and let everybody in, because nobody believes them. Nobody believes that they're actually, everybody believes that they're in the middle of something. But anyway. Yeah, the mound builders, a prehistoric people of Central and South America, are known worldwide for their fantastic architecture and cultural achievements. However, North American natives are not known as great builders, but that does not mean they didn't build. But yeah, it's like, what is inside these mounds? They put a stop. Yeah, the mound builders disappeared in the 17th century. Let me see. Oh my God! Now we're talking. Now I came. Yeah, Serpent Mound. Serpent Mound is one of the bigger mounds, but they refuse. I'm not even finding the information. It's probably going to take some digging to find it. They don't open these mounds anymore. They used to open them all the time, and they used to find skeletons all the time, and more often than not, Yeah, the one mound held 5 mass graves, each containing 20 to 50 bodies, dozens of other bodies. How many people are buried? So they buried their bodies. They instead of having a flat cemetery like we do, they build them in mounds. They probably just put the body down, covered it with soil, and then just built the mound around it. But that's yeah. The Smithsonian said that it had 14,000 to 18,000 bodies. What's this one about? Not a lot of information coming up here. Oh, Michelle has to go. Okay, see you whenever. I'm winding up anyway. I've got to get this. I've got a time limit today. I was looking, hoping to get some information on some really obvious stuff. Thing is, okay, burial mounds. Yeah, it's literally just a big mound, right? Burial mounds were a thing among native cultures in the area, but some of the older mounds, it seemed like the older the mound was, the more often they were reporting finding giant bones in these mounds. And it's like, it makes no sense it makes no sense why nobody wants to admit to it. And it also makes no sense why nobody, and here's the thing, let's pass a logic test. And this is where my brain goes. If something can pass a generic logic test, then somebody should be taking it seriously. Megafauna existed. We know that megafauna, warm-blooded animals, we know that megafauna existed in lots and lots and lots of different periods. Human beings, we've been around in our current form for about 300,000 years. So we've been around in our current form for about 300,000 years. Okay, that makes sense. That's fine. So we're making entire... Is this the one I was looking for? One of them. Yeah, this is one. Oh, come on. Why do I have to try so hard to find that one? Okay, let's see if I can get to this one. Let's see if I can do this one. This. Okay, so we know that we've had megafauna off and on throughout history. We know that there's a whole lot of things that play a huge part in how big a thing can be and still be healthy, on how big a creature, whether it's an animal or whether it's we know that nutrition and environment plays a huge part. We've seen entire populations of people, once we understand the population of people, where these people only tend to get to be 5'2", suddenly they're 6 feet tall. Oh, because because genetically they're designed to be this tall, but because of the lack of resources, they're only this tall. Malnutrition, that sort of thing, right? Malnutrition, poor environment. Okay, now that you fix those problems, these people are suddenly really tall. We know this happens. So why is there not these 5'11" Germans that they keep coming across? What if they are actually, let's give them an optimum environment. How tall are they going to be? But thing is that we've had megafauna. We've had megafauna. We still have megafauna. Like, we got fucking elephants, hippos, rhinos. They're huge. They are megafauna. There were populations of elephants that were not much bigger than like a pony. That's a huge difference, right? We know that a human being can grow to be 8'11", and if we had been able to regulate the release of pituitary hormone, growth hormone, if we were able to regulate the release of the growth hormone and give the body a chance to catch up, then people like Robert Wadlow could have lived normal lives. It's like, we obviously do not want to experiment on a human being and do that to them, but we certainly experiment on animals. How do you think we ended up with draft horses? Like that's selective breeding. We selectively bred for a breed of horse that is fucking huge. draft horses, quarter horses, all those guys, right? We've also selectively bred for miniature horses. That's selective breeding, right? So is it possible that the cover-up is being driven by the fact that these guys, the giants that we're talking about are so far outside of what's possible for a human being to achieve that maybe they're not human? What are we hiding? What are we hiding from ourselves, from each other? What's going on, right? I'm just going to close some stuff. But yeah, the Smithsonian is behind so very many conspiracy. This is the one I wanted to share. Let's see if I can go grab this one. Come on. I'm clicking the wrong fucking button. Come on. That's not it. That's it. Let's see if I can. Share this tab. And let's see if I can bring this up. Does this come up properly? Yes, it did. Look at that. This is human evolution. We're starting. Homo sapiens are the top left right here. That's us. That's as long as we've existed for. Okay. 1 million years, 2 million years, 3 million years, 4 million years, 4 million years of evolution. 4 million years of evolution. And at the same time that we emerged, Neanderthals were established. Homo heidelbergensis was just dying off. Homo erectus still existed. Homo naledi still existed. So we're like the last man standing out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. We're the last man standing out of 18 attempts by biology to make us intelligent. And some of these ones, we are building an entire presumed being out of a couple of finger bones and a tooth. And that would be, wait a second, it's not even here. Where is, Homo ergaster? Where is Denisovan? They're not here. I don't see them. I don't see the Denisovan. So there's this. Oh, and this one here is off the chart. There's 19, 20. So we know like 4 million years ago, we weren't all that much. We weren't whatever, but look at the huge differences. I don't know if you guys can see this, but of the skulls that exist, look at the massive differences. Homo neanderthalis, look at when you take our skull and put it over top of their skull, we have a bigger frontal lobe, but look at the size of the back lobe. This part back here. It's like, okay, how do we know with something with a skull a Neanderthal skull was bigger than ours? Why are we making assumptions? And I know we found fairly complete. I don't know. Actually, I don't know what we found that's fairly complete, but Homo erectus, huge differences. I'm not pretending that that's not the case, but over 4 million years. And it's like, I'm sorry, over 4 million years, that's a lot of opportunities for bigger, better things to have evolved and destroyed themselves in the meantime. Like we've got this here. We've got, Homo naledi. Why cannot there be Homo giganticus in here somewhere? And why can't some of them still even exist today? I mean, there's absolutely no reason for that not to be the case. This is a story that I found. I saved it. So I saved this so I could end. What's going on? Oh, there it is. This is a story that I came across. And it's kind of, where is it? Okay. So this is a story that I came across. The giant of Kandahar was an enormous humanoid creature allegedly encountered and killed by a group of American army soldiers on a mountainside in Afghanistan. So during the Afghanistan war, right? Stephen Quayle spoke of an occurrence which is still classified by the U.S. government in his popular radio show Coast to Coast. Now, of course, that show does talk about that's what this guy does, right? The events allegedly happened in 2002 in a desert part of Afghanistan when a U.S. Army squad went missing. A special ops task force, branch unknown, possibly Rangers, was sent to find out what had happened, and the soldiers walked along a ragged mountainous trail until arriving at the entrance of a large cave. Pieces of broken U.S. military equipment and gear were scattered all around the clearing. The task force was about to enter the cave to explore the recesses when a 12 to 15-foot tall, red-headed, six-digit, double-toothed humanoid emerged and attacked the soldiers. The giant impaled one of the guys with a giant spear and proceeded to attack the rest of the squad. The witness states that it took 30 seconds of continuous fire to bring it down. Between them, the squad was armed with a full line. Some serious ammunition, some serious firepower. This much firepower concentrated on one target for 1 second, let alone 30, would be extremely destructive. According to the witnesses, the giant wore canvas or animal hide covers to protect its feet like moccasins and smelt like dead bodies. The creature's body was airlifted back to the squad's base by a helicopter and net. From there, it was loaded onto an aircraft and taken away, never to be seen again. Upon their return, the soldiers were made to sign a non-disclosure agreement to stop the word spreading of their encounter. The witness states that he broke his silence because people have the right to know what's happening on our planet. So this is a story that came out of Kandahar, Afghanistan, during 2002. Was that the Gulf War? I'm not sure when that was, right? Or rather, I know when it was. I'm not sure what was happening at the time. Yeah, well, this is the thing. One of the consistent things that they talk about is that they are red-headed, double row of teeth, often having 6 fingers and 6 toes, wearing clothing, and for some strange reason, smelling horrible. Now, that can just be if we were to meet a primitive person right now, if we were to meet a primitive person right now living a Stone Age type of lifestyle, they would probably smell pretty rank to us, because we're talking like tanned hides. When we wear a leather coat, the smell, we go, oh, the smell of leather, right? But if you're tanning a hide with prehistoric techniques, you're going to be smelling shit, pee. It's going to be a completely fucking different experience. Your personal hygiene is going to be a completely different issue. The primitive would think that we smelled rank. Absolutely. We would smell horrible to them. So this is not a one-way. It is not a one-way observation for sure. And it was funny. What was it? Eddie Murphy. Some black comedian was. I think it may have been Eddie Murphy. Was talking about how he went on a trip to Africa to explore his roots, right? And he said yeah, like okay, and I pull up and this guy pulls up in a Jeep, and he's obviously, because don't forget that Eddie Murphy, when he was doing that kind of stuff, this would have been like 40 years ago now, right? He's going, yeah. So he pulls up and he's wearing the traditional stuff, got the stuff in his hair, blah blah blah, and I'm just sitting there like this, because he smells, right? He smells, this sort of thing. And he said, and then I looked over and he's doing the same thing. I don't know why I remember that, but I do. It was like but yeah, we would smell like absolute garbage to them too. So the interesting thing is some of the abduction stories, some of the Bigfoot abduction stories that exist talk about 6 fingers, double rows of teeth, redheaded, very, very hairy, wearing crude clothing, and stinking to high heaven. But that's a whole separate thing that's unrelated to this. But yeah, I think it's realistic to assume that giants exist. I think there's something about them. But there could be several things about them. I read a little speculation type article a while ago talking about Bigfoot. And it's like, well, if Bigfoot exists and they are a new species that nestles somewhere in between Neanderthal and us, or whatever, what we can't experiment, we can't hunt them, we can't experiment on them, we can't do anything because they're human, right? They are an intelligent thinking exist or existed. I think exist. Pardon me. I think there are huge, as overpopulated as our planet is, because I do think we're overpopulated, but there are also huge areas where we can't live. I can't go live. Like Yeti. I cannot go live in the upper reaches of the Himalayas. We cannot survive. We are overpopulated in terms of the areas in which we can survive, but there's plenty of areas out there where we can't survive. We can't have much of a life if we try to live in those areas. And I think there are other things living in those areas that are just comfortably intelligent, doing their own thing. Like when explorers first encountered native communities, they just assumed, oh, they're the Supreme Court of the United States back in like, I don't know, early 1800s declared that Black people were only 4/5 human, partly based on the lifestyle. Well, they live like this; they can't be human. It's like, well, that just blows your mind, right? It's like, no, don't be stupid. Just grow the fuck up. So I think that part of it is like they the Smithsonian might be experimenting on Bigfoot and giants and a whole bunch of things. And maybe that's the conspiracy all by itself. Maybe the conspiracy that we're looking for is you guys are doing experiments on these beings, on these creatures, and you know that they're intelligent, and getting caught is going to cause so that they could just be a species of human that we haven't an intelligent species of hominid that we haven't encountered before. But the moral and ethical dilemma around doing anything about it, investigating them in any way, shape, or form, is too much of a black eye. Not black eye. That's the worst way to put it. We know what happened. We already have the proof. Yeah, they'll do experiments on anyone, but we already know what happened. We know what happened. Like I said, the Supreme Court makes this declaration. We come in and see, oh, they live like this, so therefore they are primitive. Therefore they are primitive. They are not as good as us. We are better than them. So anything we do to them is okay. This is how and why such horrible, horrible things happened. Not because, because of all kinds of becauses. But some of the reasons why horrible, horrible things happen, why one population did horrible things to another population, is because of the whole, we're better than you for all. We're the ones who created the scale. So you're not on the scale because, if you don't own a computer and drive a car, you're not on the scale. So anything you're obviously way too primitive to be accepted as my equal. So anything I do to you is okay. Right? This was the mentality that drove a whole lot of horrible, horrible shit. And we like to think that as a society, we've evolved past that, or we are well on our way to evolving past that. And most of it, the really, really, really shitty stuff doesn't happen anymore. But then you come across a population of giants, a population of Yeti. Then you come across a population of these beings, humanoids, and you want to do your experiments, you want to do this, you want to do that, and you know that you do not have the ethical high ground because our history has taught us where the ethical high ground now stands in regards to anyone or anything we judge to be less advanced than us. I don't want to say inferior. That's not quite the right word. But when we walk into an area thinking that we're the ones that are better, because we still do it. Oh, you should want to be like me. It's like, no, I don't want to be like you. Fuck that. I'm me. Right. So we already know what the social, we know what the social and political ramifications are. And that could be the one thing that's driving everything. But do I think giants exist? Yes. I think that giants exist. I think they're probably, how big? I don't know. I do not think we have 36-foot tall human beings or humanoids running around. I do not think that that's a thing anymore. Just like we don't have cave bears anymore. We don't have dire wolves anymore because the environment just doesn't support the elements of our current environment does not support that type of that extent of it, that degree of it. But yeah, is it possible that there is women were not even 3/5 of a person at the time. Exactly. So this is the thing. It's like we already know the social and political ramifications of that kind of fuckery. So we've got this population of giants, and we need to know, okay, who are you? What are you? We need to know what to do about you, because apparently we need to do that. So what do? We call it a conspiracy. We call it oh, this is just pseudoscience. They don't exist. And then once they whoever they turns out to be, once they know enough, then they can start to admit that they exist. Because there are the stories that came out about giants, Bigfoot, and all these other humanoid types were much more common and much more freely discussed. It was freely discussed. People in the 1800s believed that there were giants. They believed it. Well, of course there were giants in the Bible. Why wouldn't some of them still be around? They believed it. It was not even a question. Not even a question as to whether or not, Goliath was a giant. There may not be any more giants, but it wouldn't be surprising if there were. Absolutely. It's just like, whatever. But yeah, it's fine. It's whatever. It's in the Bible. It's fine. And now it's like, oh, now it's like the Bible. Oh, that part of the Bible is not, the rest of the Bible is fine. But this part, no, that's not right. This part of the Bible is wrong. It's like, makes no sense. Do I personally think, I think that we have, when I'm looking at this chart, this is why I left the chart up. When I'm looking at this chart, look at 2 million years ago. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, almost 7. Look at all the different ones who existed at the same time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different ones. 8 different humanoids existed at the same time, and they were not us. Homo sapiens didn't exist yet 2 million years ago. We had not evolved to this. Whichever ones evolved into us, that hadn't happened yet. Whichever ones evolved into Neanderthal, that hadn't happened yet. But then you've got this big million-year hole. We've got Homo erectus and Homo. I'm on the wrong page. I can't read it. Necheti. We've got those two. Yeah, they also believe that the Earth was 3,000 years old. It's like, but the thing is that they didn't have any problem believing it. And now we are like, oh, that can't possibly be true. Oh, those people that believe this back then, they were just religious fanatics. They didn't know what they were talking about. And it's like, they just simply didn't question it. Because it made sense to them. It's like, well, there's this thing up north called a polar bear. Why can't there be a human up north that's that much bigger than us than a black bear? Put a black bear and a polar bear side by side, and you're like, wow, that's a huge fucking difference. But you put a human and you put me and a 10-foot person side by side, and they're going, that person can't possibly exist because their body can't handle it. It's like, well, wait a second, then how could a polar bear exist? They're twice as big as a black bear. Oh, that's different. Why? They're still growing. They're growing at about the two species of bear are growing in about the same time frame. Takes about 3 years for a black bear to reach adulthood. Takes about 3 years for a polar bear to reach adulthood. The polar bear's got twice as much growing to do. Why do we not have this capacity? And I get it. We do not have the capacity. Our biology does not currently support this, but I think it depends on how you define giant, whether you mean giants exist now or existed historically. I think the belief around Bigfoot is that they run anywhere from 8 to 10 feet tall, sometimes as big as 12. That's kind of the story there. So if they are a branch of humanoid, if they share human genetics with us, then that's them. Right. So it does depend on how you define giant. And until we get an actual, like I said, Robert Wadlow had a pituitary disease. We do have, wrestlers like Andre the Giant, basketball players like Michael Jordan. We have extremely tall people. We do have people that are over 6'6", 6'7". We have basketball players that are over 7 feet tall and they're healthy. I'm 5 feet tall. How come, So we do have the genetics in place for giants, for people that are really, really big. And it depends on how you define giant. If you're a pygmy, anything over 6 feet tall is a giant. It's huge. If you are a 5'11" German, then 6'6" is not that big of a stretch, right? So it depends on a whole lot of things. I think it's very likely that giants did exist. Did they reach 36 feet tall? I don't know. We have very little that points to that, we have very little that points to that type of extreme. We have very little that points to that type of an extreme that isn't immediately laughed off as Photoshop, a hoax, whatever. Anything real, that they would literally have to parade out a 36-foot tall human for anybody to believe it now, because they've done such a good job of shitting all over the idea that could have possibly been true. But I do think it's possible that the giants of the Goliath size range, I do think it's very possible. I think they existed. I think it's very possible that there are some small populations in relatively isolated areas that still exist. I think the whole thing where Patagonia was concerned, the giants of Patagonia, I think that was real. Are there still giants in Patagonia? Don't know. Have no idea. I think human interference introduced, like, you know, when the first people came over here, they brought smallpox with them. They would walk into an entire village pretty much pristine, and nobody's alive because they died of smallpox. So they don't talk about that much because that's just, you know, not something they want to talk about. But no, I think giants exist when you're looking at things like I think that I don't think that we are the only thing that survived millions of years of evolution. I also think, like the coelacanths. Coelacanths completely disappeared from the fossil records for over 100 million years, but they're still alive now. It's not that they disappeared; it's just that the conditions, the beneficial conditions that create fossils disappeared. Whatever it was that allowed their bones to be fossilized, those conditions changed, or they migrated away from the area, whatever, right? I think that when you're looking at intelligent, I think when you're talking about intelligent humanoid life, I think giants exist. I think I don't think every single Bigfoot story is real. I don't think Bigfoot, Yeti, skunk ape, Patagonian giants of I don't think every single one of those stories is real, but I think some of them are. I do think some of them are, and I do think that I think that once we can get past whatever it is that's making mainstream science and places like the Smithsonian and government cover-ups, I think if and when we can ever get past all that, we're gonna find out about a lot of shit. But that's a whole different thing. I got to get going because we are going to be going. We got to talk to the guys about the Sassy Dragon deck, just checking in on the art and stuff. And that's happening in just a few minutes, so I have to be off of this. So I'm going to get going. But yeah, it was a fun chat. I don't know what topic we want to do this week. Maybe this Friday we'll just do a follow the rabbit, jump down the rabbit hole and see where we end up. That might be a good one for this weekend, since I already had to delay this one. And I'm probably, I don't know for sure, I'm probably just going to come on and shoot the shit, maybe even tomorrow, just because I can. But yeah, I think it's interesting. When you look at the word, how you define giant, I think that gives everybody, because when you say, do you believe in giants as a yes/no question, that's a lot more. I can say yes. I can confidently say yes. But when you say how you define it, that changes everything. I'd love to hear you guys' opinions about how you define it. Like, do you think, like I said, how do you define the word giant? And based on your own definition of that, what do you think about the possibility of a giant? Do they exist? Do they not exist? Are they human? Are they human? Are they humans like us? Are they a different type of humanoid that we just haven't discovered yet? What's the deal with the red-headed, 6 fingers, double row of teeth thing that pops up so often when you start talking about the biggest giants? That's an interesting conversation. But anyway, I'm going to get going, and I will see you guys on the next one. And in the meantime, take care. For those of you that are having the day off, it's a holiday here right now. So for those of you that are enjoying the day off, have a great day. Everybody else, have a great day. Have a great week. Bye.